Welcome, everybody. Sports Stuff Hub Live, episode 34 starts now. It is May 11th, 2021, and we've hit a lull in the NFL world. Now, a lot of that comes down to just the fact that we are post-NFL draft. We are waiting for the schedules to be released, and there's just not much going on in the world of the NFL right now. Unfortunately, that's the case every season at this time of year. So what we have is a lot of people who are trying to create fantasy mock drafts already, and we have a lot of people who are pining for more football and hoping that they can create some controversy to stir up some headlines, such as the Aaron Rodgers thing going on in Green Bay. Watching this all unfold and watching a certain media member literally release a, we'll call it fabricated story that he's pieced together over a number of months and releasing it the day of the first round of the NFL draft. Kind of a shitty move, but at the same time, created a lot of thunder, created a lot of topics, created a lot of people talking about it. And if they feel like they need to talk about it more, then go for it. Aaron Rodgers has been no stranger about it. Now, he hasn't granted he hasn't come out and just outright said to everybody, hey, I want out of Green Bay, hey, I don't like the GM, hey, he's said everything that supposedly is leaked in group chats, or it was his team or trusted advisors who have been releasing this information. So it's given us 2 weeks almost now of chatter, and now there's been rumors swirling that he's going to be signed, or that he's going to be traded to X, Y, and Z team. Most recently, obviously, the number one favored topic has been to the Denver Broncos, but then there's been a number of other teams that have been brought up. And as it gets deeper, it just is funny to listen how much people are investing into said rumor, and if there's any merit to it. There's been a number of people within certain organizations, including Green Bay themselves, that have come out and said there is no factual credentials behind this. This is people who are essentially making up stories. And that's what we deal with in the NFL offseason. It's not surprising one bit. And who knows? Maybe Aaron Rodgers will get traded out of Green Bay. Maybe Jordan Love will become his successor immediately. Maybe Aaron Rodgers continues to play. Maybe they sign him to a long-term deal and he plays for another 4 years in Green Bay, 4+ years in Green Bay. Maybe he goes to another team and wins another Super Bowl. He's only been to one. He's only won one. You have Ben Roethlisberger, who probably is going to retire after this season. The Steelers only have one quarterback on their roster signed beyond 2021, and that's Mason Rudolph. Maybe Aaron Rodgers cuts bait after the 21 season and ends up a Pittsburgh Steeler, where a place that if Ben Roethlisberger hadn't been drafted to back in 2004, if the Cleveland Browns had made a smarter draft decision instead of drafting Kellen Winslow in the first round, instead drafted Ben Roethlisberger. I don't believe the Steelers would have taken J.P. Lossman at the time. So maybe they would have waited until 2005 and taken a young, aggressive, hungry quarterback out of Cal in the first round ahead of Green Bay, because Green Bay let him slide right to them. Maybe the Steelers would have absorbed a really bad 2004 season, especially after Tommy Maddox got hurt. Maybe they would have allowed Brian St. Pierre to man the helm for that season, and maybe they would have gone 8-8 and been somewhere right in the middle of the pack in the draft and drafted Aaron Rodgers 17, 16, 15, 14. We just don't know. But potentially, after the 21 season is done and free agency hits, and let's say Rodgers doesn't come back to Green Bay. Ben Roethlisberger retires. Aaron Rodgers comes in, pulls a Tom Brady, wins a Super Bowl in Pittsburgh. A lot can be said about that. And whether or not that's actually going to take place, we'll see. Can't guarantee it. Can't say it's not going to. But all I can say right now is after that opening monologue, I really hope my sound is working. Because I don't want to have to re-say all that, because I will not nail it like I just nailed it. What's going on, Mr. Miller? I'm hoping my sound is working. So, anybody that catches this now will have to go back and listen to the replay and catch the introduction. It is a beautiful sunny day here in the Pacific Northwest, and yeah, not much happening in the world of the NFL. So, what are we going to talk about tonight? Tonight, our main topic is going to be addressing the top 3 teams in the NFL draft and the changes that they've made since, well, 2 of them finished second to worst and worst records in the NFL. And then the other team that traded up to draft number 3 overall. So we're going to be discussing those 2 rosters. It's fairly quiet. Well, is that any better? And maybe, well, my sound is up pretty good. If that's any better, hopefully it is. I don't have my other tripod that I can hold my microphone closer. I know if I do this, it tends to be really good vocals. So maybe I'll just hold it like this during the show tonight. I'm okay with that. Doesn't bother me. So, tonight we're going to be discussing the Jaguars, the Jets, and the 49ers on our main topic, and the changes that have come since the end of the official end of last season. And we're going to break it all down and see, decide whether or not they're going to actually improve on last year. Now, you have the Jaguars that finished dead last at 1-15. Now the question is, how hard would it be to not improve? At this point, it's almost a matter of what would they have to screw up to not improve on 1-16? Because let's face it, falling 1-16 again or worse would be really tough. Now, I get it. The Browns have accomplished that feat, but we're not here to take shots at the Browns. I think they've flushed themselves enough throughout their last 20 years, so we're not here to take shots at the Browns. But then you have the Jets, who finished last season 10-14. And for a team that finished, 2-14. And for a team that finished 2-14, again, I get it. It's the Jets, and they're rather inept. But they might have the first head coach and offensive coordinator combo that could actually do something with that roster that they've had in 10 years. So it's possible. And then obviously we're going to talk about the 49ers with their number 3 overall pick and the changes that have come to the 49ers as well since they finished last season. And so that's going to be our main topic tonight. Last week we discussed some fantasy football improvements and potential declines of some players based on the NFL draft. So this time, we're going to take those first 3 spots in the NFL draft, and we're going to kind of break it down, and this is going to be more from a standpoint of, will they get better? But we won't actually know until next season rolls around. But before we get to the NFL, we do have a few things that we need to cover in the hobby. Number one, sports cards, obviously, is the hobby I'm referring to. We have Score Football releases tomorrow. And I know a lot of people are upset and frustrated that it's coming out at $300+ a box. Most vendors are anywhere, or most retailers are anywhere from $299 to $350 for a hobby box. And I know a lot of people are saying that's ridiculous, but, and correct me if I'm wrong, last year's hobby boxes are currently sitting at around $340 as well. And last year's hobby boxes had less guaranteed autos than this year's hobby boxes. So they're starting off out the gate at what last year's prices are currently sitting at with more autos in it. Because this year's Score has 4 guaranteed autos. I believe last year's Score hobby only had 2. I could be wrong, but I believe that's what I saw. I don't typically open a lot of Score anyways because traditionally I don't chase college jerseys because I'm a North Dakota State fan, and rarely are there North Dakota State players in those products. Well, this year happens to be a little bit different. This year, there's probably going to be 3 players in those college uniforms wearing NDSU jerseys in these collegiate jersey products. That would be number 3 overall pick Trey Lance, 2nd round pick Dylan Radens, and 4th round pick Jabril Cox. So, kind of excited to collect these 3 guys. I've never had 3 North Dakota State guys to collect in one season before. I'm excited. I am excited. I'm excited for Trey Lance. I'm excited for Dylan. And I'm excited for Jabril. But I'm really excited for Trey. So, that's going to be one of the topics we talk about later on. Not going to get off topic right now. Score Football. So, Score, again, comes out tomorrow. Hobby boxes. People are frustrated, blah, blah. Yeah, I get it. But, yeah, really, there's no but. It's 4 autos in a box. It's not a high-end product, but yet it's going for $300. Come on! Hoops was selling for $600 a box. Hoops! Okay, this is kind of the football version of Hoops. And it's only $300. And you have what could potentially be the best quarterback draft class in NFL history, is what they're saying. And it's going to be tough to compete with last year. But Score is kind of like Hoops product-wise. You know, I wouldn't say it's Donruss. Well, we're going to see Donruss football, obviously, but Score, bottom-tier product, collegiate jerseys. We're going to be in collegiate jerseys for several months anyways. I have not heard if they're going to do a rookie symposium this year or a rookie premiere this year. That's normally where Panini gets most of the awkward posed rookie cards in their first jersey, the first look at their jerseys. And I don't know if they're going to have that rookie premiere this year with some of the COVID restrictions still in play. So we may end up with a similar situation like last year where we didn't have a lot of the rookies in any products that had NFL jerseys. You know, at Prism Football came out in November. December, either way. End of the year. And we still had guys in combine attire, in Prism. We still, today, have products that came out in the last month and a half where guys were wearing collegiate jerseys. So, without the rookie premiere, that seriously hinders Panini's ability to put collegiate or to put NFL jerseys on some of the cards. And part of the reason is because they have to pay for the photography in order to get those pictures. At the rookie premiere, they have their own photographers there. And I know a lot of people complain about why, or that they don't have NFL jerseys on some of these players 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 10 months after the season started or after they were drafted or anything. And that's the reason why, because costs are already up on that stuff. Well, Panini's making money hand over fist at this point anyways, but they would have to pay additional fees for the photography for them to get pictures in those in uniforms so I mean, and some of those rookies never even stepped on the field, so how do you get pictures of some of the rookies in an NFL uniform when they were practice squad guys or never even stepped onto the field during an actual NFL game? You'd have to almost go and get them at practice, which then again is sending a photographer out to a location and getting them at practice, or getting them during spring training, or not spring training, summer camps, getting them in these other positions, which then you're paying photographers, or you're paying for the rights to the photographer's photos. So there's a lot to it. And I don't want to say it's not doable. It's whether or not Panini wants to spend the money. And given the current climate of the hobby, they have a lot of money is what I meant to say. Make sure that I clarified that. Because tomorrow, they're literally selling boxes of Score on their website for $300 a box. Yeah. They're making plenty. They could do it if they wanted to. They just don't want to. Because people are still buying the product. That's what it boils down to. The guys that you want to see in NFL jerseys are wearing NFL jerseys. Now, when I say the guys you want to see, I mean the general consensus guys. The general consensus is the Justin Herberts and the Joe Burrows and the Tuas and the Jordan Loves. Jordan Love never stepped foot on the field last year. And yet, all of his cards, since they started putting them in NFL jerseys, all of them are in an NFL jersey. But yet, there's at least 30 players in Prism that are still wearing. Patrick Queen's rookie card in Prism is a combine picture. So, like I said, they could. They just don't want to. Don't be fooled. So anyway, Score football comes out tomorrow. Onyx football, Onyx Vintage Football, new brand, comes out tomorrow/Thursday. Kind of depends on when everybody gets their stuff. I have some coming. It's for sale, pre-sale on the website already. It'll be to me Thursday, so I'll be shipping it out. Correct, David. Photoshop's a hell of a thing, and yet they don't want to do it. Blows my mind. Onyx football, 2 autos per box. It's like 4 cards in a box, 2 autos per. It's like $65 for a box. It's like having, I don't know. It's like buying Origins, but off-brand. It looks okay. I mean, it's called vintage. It looks like a vintage card. Obviously, they're not licensed by the NFL, but you get all the big names in it. Trevor Lawrence is in it. Trey Lance is in it. Mac Jones is in it. Zach Wilson's in it. Justin Fields is in it. They're all in it. So, yeah, that comes out tomorrow/Thursday. So, go get your boxes of that. Like I said, I've got some for sale on the website as well on that one. What else do we have for product coming out? Impeccable Basketball comes out. That comes out tomorrow as well. And I'm about to go off on a little rant, so bear with me. Not really. I wouldn't. Wait, Lawrence isn't in it? Okay, maybe Trevor Lawrence isn't in it. I thought I saw him on the box, but I could be wrong. So, last week, I made an announcement for our May loyalty rewards break. And I apparently spoke too soon. So we were going to do Impeccable Basketball for a loyalty rewards break. I was going to run it right in that same price range that we did National Treasures for. And a couple days ago, I was looking at my orders that I had set that last week showed that I had Impeccable Basketball. And then the other day, magically erased from my pre-orders. Even though I had one a couple days ago. So, we have to make a change to the May rewards, the loyalty rewards break. Not a big deal, especially since I didn't pay any money down on it, thankfully. So we're going to have to make a change. I'm going to do some investigating. Worst case scenario, if I can't find a decent product that I can get at a good price that we can do a cheap rip for everybody, I'm just going to do a free lower end. What do you call lower end nowadays? I'll find something that's got, a couple $100 box, and we'll do a free break for the loyalty. And that way nobody's paying a dime for it. So I'll do something like that if I can't find a decent product. Obviously, I can't run another NT break at what we did because I lose my ass on that. That just wouldn't work. I would love to run another NT break, but the cheapest I can get it right now, I would have to do it at $100 a spot. And, yeah, it's 8 cards. That leaves 24 people without a card, and that's if one card per team. So that's 24 spots of 0 at $100 per. Now, I get it, yes. 100 per is still cheaper than anybody else out there, but at $100 per, I'd still be losing money on that break because of fees and then shipping. Which shipping 8 cards, that's $40. But we got to figure something else out for the loyalty rewards for May. So I will be doing some investigating and see what we can do. And so stay tuned on that. Maybe I'll have some info by next show. If I don't, I don't. But if I can't get a solid product, I don't mind doing, like I said, a couple $100 box. I don't mind doing a free rewards break on that. We'll figure it out, though. And card shows. That's the other thing I wanted to talk about before we get into actual sports talk tonight. Card shows. Last weekend was the Twin Oaks Cards and Collectibles show down at Mall 205 in Portland, Oregon. And it was not as big as the previous month. I will flat out say that. It was a little slower for what I expected. Still was okay. But it seems that the Portland show over the last several months has kind of slowly stepped back to a point I might stop doing it if it continues to slow down like this. But we'll see. I don't know yet. I'm always wanting to support the local card shows. But if it's in an area that has very little interest in going to card shows, then I'm not gonna, it's tough to travel, 2.5 hours and haul everything down and then stay there for total be at the mall for 10 hours and have very few people show up. So I might not be doing the Twin Oaks show anymore. I'm going to give it at least next month, see how it goes, and then we'll see after that. Coming up, not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, is the Twin Oaks Cards and Collectibles show at the Auburn Outlet Mall in Auburn, Washington. Now, that show has continued to have really solid turnout to a point that the show is now 2 days. It's now a Saturday and Sunday show. So now we set up 2 days. And last month, it was, I would say, overall pretty close to the same turnout we'd had when it was one day, but it was now just spread out over 2 days, which I was okay with because we also do a lot of Funko Pops, and most of the card collectors aren't buying the Funko Pops. That's going to mall traffic. So I got a bonus day of mall traffic, and pretty much the same amount of card collectors, but spread out over 2 days. So I didn't have to have 20 people standing in line at my tables. And I'm okay with that. I don't mind a long line at my tables and stuff. I just tend to feel bad for the people standing in line not able to look at stuff. So it's a big show. It's a big show. Definitely, if you want to travel to a card show, I would definitely advise giving a shot to the Auburn Washington card show. Yeah, and then next month we're going to have 3 shows. They're going to have the Everett Mall show back up and running next month again. So we're going to have Portland, Everett, Auburn, all in 1 month again. So it'll be fun to see. All right, we're going to get over to our main topic for tonight. And if you're just joining, our main topic is going to be the top 3 teams in the NFL. Or excuse me, not the top 3 teams. The top 3 teams in the NFL draft and the additions that they made, and are they worth it, and will they improve on their record last year? Okay, so starting it off with the echo, huh? Hang on. I don't know why I would get echo changing over to this. Oh, I see why. Hold up. That should be a lot better. I don't know why that had a secondary camera source on it, but it was piping in sound through the camera as well. Okay, so we should be good to go now. Okay, so the number 1 overall pick in the draft was the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they went through a massive overhaul this past offseason. Starting with the new coaching staff. New head coach Urban Meyer coming from the college ranks. And he's been out for a couple of years now, but Urban was the head coach for the University of Florida for a little while. And then most recently Ohio State. So took a year or 2 off. Now coming up to the NFL, and hopefully can take Trevor Lawrence and turn him into the quarterback everybody anticipates him being, and lead the Jaguars to the promised land. Bringing along a buddy of his, Charlie Strong, is going to be the assistant head coach. 2 new hires, Darrell Bevel at offensive coordinator and Joe Cullen, defensive coordinator. So you now have an entire new system in Jacksonville. There are a few coaching staff members that are a rollover from the previous regime, but if you go down the list of coaches, there's quite a few new faces there in Jacksonville. So any of these veteran players that did hang around after last season, after the disastrous 1-15 season, they don't have a lot of familiar faces in the coaching staff left over. So this is almost a top to bottom cleanup job. Some of the players that they brought in, notable names, we'll say. These are just notables. I didn't get deep in this, but notables. Starting it off, they, via trade, acquired Malcolm Brown, defensive tackle, who came from the New Orleans Saints. And Malcolm Brown can definitely make an impact on that defense. Adding wide receiver depth with Marvin Jones, who's actually a pretty damn good wide receiver, added him in free agency, as well as Philip Philip Dorsett at wide receiver as well. Now, Dorsett has some years on him in the NFL. Kind of been a journeyman wide receiver, bounced from a number of different teams, most notably Indianapolis Colts and the New England Patriots. So he's bounced around a little bit and hasn't really been able to land anywhere and stick. And with the amount of wide receivers that Jacksonville has, I don't necessarily know if he's even going to make it out of camp. Then the other big signing that they had was Damian Wilson, who they picked up also in free agency. So a couple of offensive weapons and then a couple of weapons for their defense to help drag them out of the basement in the AFC South. Draft picks, as we're all aware, they had the number 1 overall pick. And everybody on God's green earth knows that Trevor Lawrence is the second coming and was the consensus number 1 overall pick before the draft even started. He was anticipated being the number 1 overall pick when he was a sophomore in frickin' high school. He was crowned that. So it was just a matter of time for whenever he declared for the draft. He could have declared for the draft as a junior in high school, and that sucker would have been drafted number 1 overall. And then they would have just sat him for 4 years and trained him. That's essentially what he did in college, was just get trained to play in the NFL. That's what he did in high school. He was trained to play in the NFL. That's what this guy has been. He has been the top prospect in everything he's been. He has not lost a game in his entire career. He never lost a game in high school. He never lost a game in college. How's that going to work when he loses a game in the NFL? His first taste of defeat is going to come at the hands of, and I don't know the schedule yet, is going to come at the hands of an NFL team that wants to just posterize him. But at the same time, he's going to be paid millions of dollars to do so. So, give or take. So, after that, then the Jaguars went out and drafted Travis Etienne, running back, with the number 25th overall pick. And that, to most people, was a very surprising pick, especially since on the roster was already James Robinson, free agent running back, who was just the 4th free agent, undrafted free agent running back to eclipse the 1,000-yard mark in NFL history. So everybody was like, why would you draft running back in the first round? Well, it doesn't hurt that it's Trevor Lawrence's college teammate. So, there you go. Now you have Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Some familiarity in the backfield for their brand new quarterback, and offense is already looking pretty good. Then in the second round, they added cornerback Tyson Campbell. And then also in the second round, well, let's protect Trevor Lawrence. Why not? And they draft offensive tackle Walker Little. So you already have a new coaching staff, a new coaching regime, we'll call it, because it's literally top to bottom. You bring in a couple of weapons to potentially be at Trevor Lawrence's disposal, even though you already have DJ Chark. You already have Laviska Shenault. You lost Keelan Cole to free agency. But you've got 2 solid weapons. And now you have Marvin Jones coming in, a very savvy veteran wide receiver. You added, well, I don't want to call Philip Dorsett that big of a weapon yet. Like I said, he may not even make it to the season. But then you add 2 really good defensive pieces of Malcolm Brown and Damian Wilson. So you combine that with the draft, and Urban Meyer's got a good start. Now, is his success in college going to translate over to the NFL? I don't know. The problems that I'm seeing with him so far is that, number one, he's got Darrell Bevell as his offensive coordinator, and Seahawk fans know the struggles that Bevell has sometimes with creativity and play calling. And is that going to be a good thing or a bad thing for Trevor Lawrence? We don't know yet. And maybe Bevell learned a few things in his downtime. I don't know. But I could see Urban Meyer kind of taking the reins a little bit on play calling. Possibly. But this could all turn out to just get Urban Meyer's ass handed to him over and over again for 18 straight weeks. Well, 17 of 18 weeks, because now we have a 17-game season. Urban Meyer could 100% regret coming up to the NFL. It could happen. He could get Trevor Lawrence absolutely obliterated. It could happen. Urban Meyer could turn around and take the Jaguars from a 1-15 team to a 12-5 team. And you guys are going to hear me say that a lot, that I'm going to screw up the 16 versus 17 games, because this season is going to be 17 games, and I'm going to screw that up over and over again. So just bear with me. But Urban Meyer could lead them to a 12-5 season. It's possible. It is possible. It's entirely possible. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't. Personally, I don't. Moving over to the New York Jets. Now, this coaching change is a little bit different because this is not a coaching change that was brought up out of the college ranks. This was, we'll call it a promotion. New coaching staff includes Robert Saleh, head coach, formerly defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, and a very good defensive coordinator for those 49ers. Brought with him his buddy on the offensive side of the ball, Mike LaFleur, offensive coordinator formerly for the 49ers as well. He also hired Jeff Ulbrich, defensive coordinator. So again, we have 3 new coaches on this team, and these are the guys who drafted number 2 overall in the NFL draft. So 3 coaches, plus a number of other assistants and whatnot that also are new to the Jets. New regime, new model. They added a lot of weapons. And when I say they added a lot of weapons, they added a lot of weapons. Let's start picking apart this list. Starting with free agent wide receiver Corey Davis, most recently with the Tennessee Titans. This is a massive key for this offense. This offense has struggled to find a true number one wide receiver, and now with Corey Davis, they might have found one. At least somebody who can catch a damn football and score some points. Because let's face it, Corey Davis had a really good career with Tennessee. Short career with Tennessee. It was only like 3-4 years. Good piece to start with. Then also in free agency, which all of these guys were all picked up in free agency, just so you guys know. Linebacker Gerard Davis. That's actually a pretty big piece for him as well. Getting some veteran depth at linebacker. Defensive back Justin Hardy. Defensive end Carl Lawson over from the Bengals. That is also a big piece for them. Carl Lawson is nothing to scoff at. Now, yes, there has been times where he has failed to get pressure for an entire season, but overall, he's pretty dang solid defensive end. Keelan Cole, who we just mentioned, no longer with the Jaguars, the team we just got done discussing. Keelan Cole ended up signing with the Jets. So, there you go. And Keelan Cole did make his statements from time to time when he got opportunities with Jacksonville. Center Dan Freeney came over from the Chargers. LaMarcus Joyner, defensive back. Tight end Tyler Kroft, who most recently had a stint with Buffalo after starting off his career with the Cincinnati Bengals. Sheldon Rankins at defensive tackle. And that could be a pretty big piece on the defensive side of the ball because he's a big-bodied big boy. Defensive end, Vinny Curry. Not a bad pickup either. And then rounding it out, for Mike LaFleur to play with, one of his favorite toys that he had in San Francisco, running back Tevin Coleman. That actually is one of the most intriguing pickups for their offense because Tevin Coleman had a lot of success in Mike LaFleur's offense in San Francisco. If LaFleur can duplicate what he did in San Francisco, Coleman's going to feast. Do not sleep on him. This was not meant to be a fantasy conversation, but damn. And then one guy I forgot to mention on here, Corey Levin, another center. Why not make it competitive? I mean, you've got Dan Freeney, but yeah, you can make it competitive. Give two guys a chance to, and Freeney's versatile. You could always slide him over to guard if you needed to, and then Levin could still play center. So, like I said, they had a lot of pickups in free agency, and for a new coaching regime, that's a lot of new players too. Moving over to the draft side of things for the Jets. Obviously, we're well aware the Jets took Zach Wilson, number 2 overall out of BYU, and traded, we all know the Sam Darnold story, the Adam Gase effect. Darnold is now going to go, now went to Carolina, and now this season, Sam Darnold's going to ball? Yeah, we're all anticipating it. The Gase effect on the quarterbacks, it's going to happen. Sam Darnold's going to light it up. Either way, Sam Darnold's out of town. It's the Zach Wilson show. Zach Wilson now has some pretty good wide receivers to throw to, including Corey Davis. He'll have a number 3 receiver in Keelan Cole, Denzel Mims. He's got Jamison Crowder. He's got a pretty good list of receivers. And then at number 13, they added another stud lineman to pair with Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton is a monster on that offensive line, drafted last year, and now they just drafted Elijah Vera Tucker. Nobody's touching Zach Wilson. I just don't see it happening. He's gonna have all freaking day to throw. Well, what do you do when you've already put weapons around your quarterback and you protected him? You get him another weapon, because this is a point right now with the defensive pieces they added in the offseason. They're at a point now where they need to surround this kid with protection and talent. So in the second round, they went out and drafted Elijah Moore, wide receiver. Elijah Moore may not see the field in his freshman year, may or may not, depending on if he can beat out Keelan Cole, if he can beat out Jamison Crowder, if he can beat out, well, he doesn't need to beat out Mims because he could be the number 3. But Elijah Moore is a very talented wide receiver that could see the field and really could have an effect on Zach Wilson's progression starting out right out the gate. So I don't want to say the team is stacked, but to say that they're going to finish 2-14, I don't see it happening. I could see them easily going 6 wins. Now, I don't know the strength of schedule that they've got right now, but minimum, I would anticipate the Jets going 6-11. Remember, 17-game season, so 6-11. It's doable. It's absolutely doable. Now let's move over to the San Francisco 49ers. And there is a tie to every single transition here. If you didn't notice, we had the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 1, who had Keelan Cole in 2020, and Keelan Cole left via free agency and was signed by the Jets. The Jets head coach Robert Saleh, offensive coordinator, Mike LaFleur, former San Francisco 49ers coordinators. This works out perfectly. 1, 2, 3. There's a transition right into all of them. So, who's new with the San Francisco 49ers head coaching, or the coaching staff? No one. All of their staff, and I mean the top staff. I don't mean, assistant to the towel boy, to the guy who gives handies in the locker room. I just mean like the top 12 staff members. All have been with the 49ers for at least 2 seasons. Most of them 4+. And they promote from within. They're offensive coordinator and defensive coordinators that replaced LaFleur and Saleh, both promoted from within. Both been with the team for 4+ years. I'd say that model of consistency could potentially pay dividends this season. Kyle Shanahan doesn't have to adjust to new coaches because he's already familiar. The team doesn't have to adjust to new coaches. They're already familiar. Could be sitting in a really good position just from that standpoint alone. Now let's move over to the players. In the offseason, these were all brought in via free agency. Wide receiver Mohamed Sanu. And Sanu's bounced around the NFL the last few years, but most notably had several pretty good seasons in Cincinnati, and then also had a good season in Atlanta before bouncing around to multiple other teams, including New England, who he struggled to get his feet wet with. But Sanu is no slouch and brings some veteran presence to the wide receiver core, now especially that Emmanuel Sanders left after the 2019 season. Linebacker Nathan Gary, which is also a pretty good pickup for their linebacking core. One really under the radar signing here that I think a lot of people are going to sleep on is Wayne Gallman. Wayne Gallman came from the Giants, and if you don't remember, he handled the majority of the carries last year when Saquon Barkley went down, and Gallman actually had a pretty damn good season last year. He could end up feasting in a Kyle Shanahan offense, especially if they continue to do dual running back, the RBBC, running back by committee, like they've been doing over the past couple seasons. Gallman could see a sizable chunk of carries in this offense. And then they also picked up 2 defensive linemen that could come into play big here. Whether or not they both make the roster, we shall see. But Maurice Hurst and Arden Key. Arden Key, in my opinion, is probably going to be the odds-on favorite to actually land a role with the team and potentially even starter. Over to the draft picks for the San Francisco 49ers. Quarterback out of North Dakota State. Trey. Lance. Number 3 overall. Trey Lance doesn't need to come in and start day one. Now, could he? Yes. Will he? We don't know. Jimmy G's gone nowhere. They have been very vocal about not trading Jimmy G. They've basically told any team that has called about him he's not for trade. Who knows what's going to happen between now and the beginning of the season? If somebody loses a quarterback in preseason, or if somebody loses a quarterback in training camp, or a guy's playing basketball in his backyard with his kids in his driveway and all of a sudden tears his ACL, trying to make his kid look bad by dunking over top of him, posterizing his own kid. You never know. Anything could happen. And all of a sudden phones are ringing for Jimmy G, and people are offering first rounders in 22. I bet if the 49ers were offered a first-round draft pick for Jimmy G, they'd give him up. Especially knowing that they have Trey Lance on the roster now. Now, the 49ers have been absolutely cursed with injuries at the quarterback position over the last, well, let's be honest about it, since they got Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's not sugarcoat it, because Jimmy is literally always freaking hurt. But on top of that, then the backups were getting hurt. C.J. Beathard got hurt. Nick Mullins got hurt. Everybody that they put behind center at some point got hurt. So the hope is obviously that Trey Lance doesn't get hurt, but he doesn't need to start day one. Jimmy G can start to begin with, or Trey Lance can start and show everybody why he was the number 3 overall pick. Outside of that, then in the second round, obviously they want to protect their investment because that's the theme of the draft. They went offensive guard Aaron Banks, which was a solid pickup for them. He was, I think, the number 5 ranked offensive guard in the draft, so pretty good value in round 2, I would say. One pick that I really liked in this was the Trey Sermon pickup. Now, I know that this makes a crowded backfield in San Francisco when they have Mostert and they have Gallman, and now they pick up Trey Sermon, and I want to say they have like 18 other freaking running backs on the roster right now. But grabbing Trey Sermon in the 3rd round, who was projected as potentially even a 2nd-round pick, this could be big for them. They could come out the gate with a run game with a 3-headed monster. Mostert, Gallman, and Trey Sermon. That could be hard to stop. Especially if you have Trey Lance at quarterback, who is a dual-threat quarterback. So now you have a 3-headed running back monster. You have a multi-talented, multifaceted, multi-dimensional quarterback that can completely change games with his legs. And you're dangerous. The 49ers were already set up. They were in the beginning of the draft, they were the most complete team that's ready to win day one. The pieces that they added could really help continue that. And then obviously in the 3rd round, then they also drafted Avery Thomas, cornerback. And because they're hurting at cornerback right now. They did re-sign Jason Barrett for their secondary. So hopefully that does give them some depth. But the 49ers come into the 21 season, whether they've got Jimmy G or whether they got Trey Lance in at starting quarterback, they are looking like they could be a contender for the NFC West this year. And I know Seahawks fans don't want to hear that. The NFC West is going to be no joke this year. It's going to be a tough division. I mean, now you have Russell Wilson, obviously. You have Kyler Murray, obviously. But now they've added Matthew Stafford. And now Trey Lance. Like I said, Jimmy G may start, but it's going to be the Trey Lance show at some point. And that's going to be 4 quarterbacks that are going to be tough for teams to beat. Don't sleep on Matthew Stafford. He's never really had good weapons other than Calvin Johnson. Now he's got weapons. He's in a more potent offense. He's in a faster-paced offense. NFC West could be dangerous this year. Could be real dangerous this year. All I will say is whoever wins that division is going to have earned it. They'll have earned it. You got to play 6 games against that bloodbath of opponents. That's pretty dang good. So, San Francisco 49ers, bound to improve on last season's record? Yeah, I think so. All right, so that was our main topic for tonight. Oh, man. So, NFL time it's coming. Before you know it, that little date up top right there says 5/11. Before you know it, we're going to be looking at September. We're going to be facing that. We're going to be in middle of August going, man, we are 2 weeks away from the start of the NFL season. Holy crap. Seems like just yesterday Ryan said it was 5/11. Yeah, I said that. In case you guys missed that. I did say that. So, it's going to move quick. Especially if they do training camps and all that kind of stuff in the off season. It's going to move real quick. And I'm loving it. I can't wait. I want the season here now. I'm ready for football. The FCS Spring League was meh. And not just because North Dakota State didn't win the FCS championship this year. it was spring ball, and there was no FBS interleague play, and I was frustrated with it. And there was guys that didn't play, there was guys that sat out, and I know there was guys that sat out the FBS as well. But if we would have had fall ball and Trey Lance would have played in the fall, Radens would have played in the fall. God, IDSU would have steamrolled people. Phoenix Sproles would have played in the fall. Oh my God. The things that could have been. Would have been another championship. Trey Lance would have had 30 games under his belt. There would have been no discussion at all who the clear-cut number 1 quarterback in the draft was. No, I'm just kidding. They still would have given it to Trevor Lawrence. But he would have probably been the clear-cut number 2. And maybe it did work out for the best, because then he would have been with the Jets. And I don't know if I want Trey Lance on the Jets. I'm okay with him being on the 49ers. Plus the fact that for my own selfish reasons, I now get to go watch him once a year come to Seattle and play. Versus if he went to the Jets, I'd see him once every 8 years. No bueno. So, David Miller says he gives Jacksonville the best odds out of all 3 of those teams mentioned to make the playoffs because of the weaker division. Yes and no. Make the playoffs potentially, but they still have to beat everybody else on their schedule. Win the division, no. No, 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 and no again. And that's mainly because they have to play Tennessee, who is probably one of the better teams. They are one of the better teams in the NFL, especially with their run game. But to be all honest with you, Indianapolis is probably one of the most complete teams, especially in that division. I honestly believe that Carson Wentz is an upgrade to Phillip Rivers, because Phillip Rivers was gassed. He didn't seem to have the same zip. Look what they did with Phillip Rivers, and Carson Wentz is an upgrade to Phillip Rivers. On top of that, they added a stud offensive lineman. They added some key defensive pieces, and they're getting back a couple more players that did have some injury issues, and T.Y. Hilton came back, and I could see the Colts being a contender. I'm not a Colts fan. Yeah, I like Carson Wentz. I think he's fantastic, and I have my allegiance to North Dakota State, but with a better team around him than what Philly had, and better ownership and better leadership and better coaching and better management and better support, Carson Wentz could thrive. Now, I'm not saying he's going to, but he definitely could. He definitely could resume the quarterback that we all saw in 2016 before he got hurt, 2017, 2018, when he was an MVP candidate. We could see that quarterback back, especially with the protection and with weapons, which he didn't have either for most of his time in Philadelphia. So, Indy. Texans are an absolute dumpster fire right now, and we don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, because there's talks that he's settling a lot of these cases out of court. So, in other words, he's paying them, is what it sounds like. Who knows? But there's teams that are interested. There's been a lot of talk over the last week that there are teams that are interested in bringing him aboard. Now, if he's on the commissioner's exempt list, it doesn't matter to Houston this year, because if he's on the commissioner's exempt list, his salary doesn't count towards the salary cap. So they're not motivated to move him, but if he is dead set on not returning to Houston, he could end up on another team and realistically start in 22 and completely screw up everything in terms of the draft for the quarterbacks and the free agent market and whatnot, because he's going to command a high salary. He's going to be a massive free agent signing. We're talking potential Patrick Mahomes level of contract size. Dak Prescott level, at least. So, yeah, I don't see Jacksonville winning the division. I could see them wild carding, maybe. But when you think about that, think about a loaded AFC North where they're going to have to beat at least 2 AFC North teams in record. Obviously, because you're going to have the champion that's going to make the playoffs, but then you have to beat either Baltimore, Pittsburgh, or Cleveland. You have to beat 2 of those 3. So I don't think they really have a shot at. It's tough to say, because then you also have the potential within your own division, Cincinnati or Indy and Tennessee. But then in the AFC West, you have the Raiders, who were just out of playoffs. Obviously, the Chiefs, everybody's got them as the lock-on favorite for the AFC West. If Aaron Rodgers does go to Denver, that automatically puts Denver as a potential favorite for the playoffs, with Justin Herbert having a now going into his second year, and a new coaching staff in LA. Are the Chargers potential playoffs, or are they an 8-win team? I mean, there's so much that could happen. And it's funny because I'm looking at filling out projected records, and projected records don't match up to actual amount of wins and losses that take place in an NFL season every year. Because there's an exact amount of wins and losses that have to take place in order for everybody to have a record, right? And I'm sitting here looking at this going, well, yeah, this team's going to finish with 9 wins. This team's going to finish with 10 wins. This team's going to finish with 11. This one's 14. This one's 13. And it's just like handing out wins, and all of a sudden you go, huh, I just filled out 16 teams in the AFC, and not one has a losing record. Huh. That doesn't work. So, we gotta pick losers, guys. We've got to find out who are going to be the sub 500 teams. We've got to figure that out. We don't. That was rhetoric.
You're saying Jacks will make the playoffs. They have the best chance to win divisional games and should have one of the easier schedules.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the strength of schedules for this year. Other than I did see that Pittsburgh came in with the toughest strength of schedule. So, I mean, Pittsburgh makes the playoffs and everybody whines that they beat nobody. It's like, well, yeah, they actually came into play with the worst strength of schedule. So, which tends to happen. They usually, going into the season, have the worst strength of schedule. And then as the season goes, they haven't beaten anybody. And then, 7 of the teams that they beat end up being playoff contenders or playoff teams. And it's just kind of like, yeah, what happened to that narrative? But that happens with a lot of teams, though, too. I mean, you can only play the teams that are lined up in front of you. And a lot of it comes down to what division opponent you're facing from the other conference. When you're playing, for example, the NFC East, who everybody in the NFC East had a losing record last year, it makes your strength of schedule look worse. Well, I'm not saying that every team in the NFC East is going to have a losing record next year. I'm not going to say that at all, because I don't believe that's going to happen. I think I don't want to say who's going to have a winning record out of that division, but one of them will. Mark my words, one of them will. I believe only one of them, but one of them will. So, One team in the NFC East will have a winning record. Yes. And one team in the NFC East will win the division and make the playoffs. Oh, man. That was probably the dumbest thing I've ever said. Anyway. NFC East. Completely got off topic. Strength of schedule is, yeah, that's where we were at. Strength of schedule. So anyway, Jacksonville though, to bring up Dave's point. Easiest road to the playoffs potentially, but I also believe, as I said earlier, I believe San Francisco is the most established to win now. Last year, they lost a lot of games, mostly because of injuries. A lot of those injuries, those guys are coming back. Obviously, Bosa's going to be back this year. That's going to be a big piece for their defense. With either Jimmy G or Trey Lance at quarterback next year, that fixes a massive hole that they had on offense. If George Kittle is healthy, Ayuk and Deebo Samuel's healthy, and now they added a Mohamed Sanu and Elijah Moore. I mean, there's not Elijah Moore. Trey Sermon at running back. That's who I was thinking of. I honestly believe they're the best set to win today. But again, I'm not saying they're going to win the division or even make the playoffs, but I think out of the three teams that we discussed, they're the most set to be able to win games today, just because of the consistency, the roster that they've got. Really, the only missing piece that they really needed outside of getting those injuries handled was quarterback, and that was injury related as well, because Jimmy Garoppolo, and I hate the term that somebody's injury prone, because really there's no such freaking thing as being injury prone. Except for concussions, for example, because once you get a concussion, it's easier to get them going forward. But as far as breaking bones, pulling muscles, ligaments, that kind of stuff, there's no such science that backs up injury prone. And I know this because I did study this kind of thing in college for a couple of years, and I know a lot of athletic trainers, and I've known a lot of sports trainers, period, and injury prone does not exist. So Jimmy Garoppolo is not injury prone. Jimmy Garoppolo either has training issues where he doesn't train properly, or he is just really unlucky. Le'Veon Bell, everybody said was injury prone. Le'Veon Bell's not injury prone. Le'Veon Bell had a couple of freak hits, really bad hits, when we're talking about his time with the Steelers, and it injured him, and there's nothing you can do about that. It is what it is. But he's not injury prone. There's no such thing. No such thing. Okay. Tonight, we're going to get going a little bit early here on our box rip. But tonight we have 2 boxes of Diamond Kings blasters that we're going to rip tonight, because I do want to take a look at Diamond Kings baseball blasters versus the hobby boxes that we ripped on break night a couple weeks ago versus the first off the line boxes that we opened last week. So we're going to do a couple blasters tonight. But before we do that, though, I am going to pimp our breaks coming up tomorrow. Everybody go get your spots. If you haven't already, we have 5 absolute fire breaks for this week. And I just realized that I didn't make the link to the website yet. So I'm just going to run through them real quick. We have a random team for Leaf Break Kings Stars and Legends. And it's a 2-box random team break. Now, Stars and Legends is a multi-sport product. So it's a little bit tougher just to run a random for it. But we're going to. Everybody that's in it is going to get a random MLB team, a random NBA team, a random NFL team, and 2 people are going to get a second NFL team. Plus, rumor has it, and I have not done a whole lot of research on this yet, there potentially are golf, hockey, tennis, and soccer cards in this as well. If one of those other sports is pulled, I will just random the card within the break to all 30 participants. Winner gets it. That's how we're going to do anything other than the 3 main sports. So, just so you know, in case you're curious, random team, except for that, then we're going to run a random for those. Sorry, I was just watching the video down below because I wanted to see how far we were behind on streaming. Then, one of the other big breaks is going to be an absolute friggin' monster. It's going to be a basketball mixer. And this is a PYT. So pick your team. And it's all of this year's basketball product. We have 1 box of the new Crown Royal basketball. We have 1 box of Donruss basketball. And we have 1 box of Hoops basketball. So 3 boxes, 3 products, 1 break. PYT style. Grab your spots in that one because there's already spots gone. I already saw the Charlotte Hornets are off the board. One of the biggest teams in a while are off the board, obviously. Everybody's itching for LaMelo Ball. So that's a big break. Then we also have a random team break. It's a 2-boxer of plates and patches football for 2020. So that's a good break as well. That's a fun product. I actually really enjoy that product. That's one that I actually pulled a Joe Burrow dual patch auto numbered out of 15 out of back when it first came out. It's a fun product. It's a nice looking product. It really is. So that's a good one. Make sure you get into that one. We also have bringing back 2 really good breaks from last week. One of them, going back to basketball, Crown Royal PYT. 2-boxer. We are kaboom chasing. We are half full on that one, roughly, give or take 1-ish. So make sure you get your spots in that one. And then our last break listed is another one that we're bringing back from last week, from the last 2 weeks actually, a Bowman 2-box hobby PYT again. Another good one. Last week we pulled the Austin Martin out of that one. The Austin Martin Purple Refractor Auto Redemption. So obviously we want to duplicate some of that fire. We had a big break night last week. So we are aiming for a similar night like that because it was insane. If you guys missed last week's break night, shame on you. I'm just kidding. It was unreal. I have never opened 9 total boxes and had that much fire come out of it. First box was our National Treasures random. 32 spots, NFL. 32 spots, and the last 2 cards in the break were a Joshua Kelly True RPA, numbered out of 27, which in its own right is a $1,000 card. And then a Jordan Love RPA, True RPA, numbered out of 10. And Joshua Decker, who got the Jordan Love, already put it at auction, and it ended last night at $5,200. Massive card. Break number 2 was Chronicles football, and just Chronicles continues to spit fire. Unbelievable. Prism Black looks so smooth, so incredible. We pulled a Justin Herbert red out of 99, And then a Chase Claypool orange auto out of 75, Justin Jefferson red out of, or orange out of 75 as well. It was a great product. It was fantastic. And then the other big, really big hit was out of our 2-boxer of Crown Royal with the Timberwolves, the Anthony Edwards Silhouettes RPA Prime out of 25 monster as well for Jordan. And then our Bowman, we pulled the Austin Martin purple refractor for Don. And then we ended up having a kind of a sleeper. There was a Joe Adele dual patch out of Diamond Kings first off the line that was numbered out of, I think, 10 or 20, but really fat patches on a beautiful card to wrap up the break. I think that went to Jordan Ralph, I believe. But it was a fantastic night, and we are going to put up bangers again tomorrow night. Break Kings is going to be insane. I can already tell. I've opened up some of the other Leaf break products, and they do well. It's usually one really big card per box. Sometimes that card is worth way more than the box, but it's always going to be worth more than the spot you paid. That's kind of the way they do the repack products. Typically, you're not going to get value more than what the boxes cost, but the spots are where the value is. So you're going to get something big. So that's a 2-boxer. We have fire. It's going to happen. For anybody who was wanting more Chronicles football breaks, I do have hobby boxes showing up Friday. So I will be setting up Chronicles football breaks for next week's breaks. So just keep that in mind. Those will go live. I haven't decided if I'm going to do PYT or random yet. I put a poll up the other day, but it only got like 49 votes, and we have more people than that to break. So it's hard to go. I put up polls sometimes to see. I don't really like the polls sometimes though, because it's never accurate. It's rarely accurate. Anyway, so make sure you get your spots. Those spots are live right now. You can go get them tonight. You could click over right now, sportstuffhub.com/breaks, and you can get into the breaks for tomorrow night. We are going to rip 2 boxes of Diamond Kings right now. See, there's some of our product right there. We are going to rip 2 blasters of Diamond Kings baseball to compare to what we ripped of Diamond Kings already. So let's get on this. 2021 Diamond Kings baseball blasters. I picked these up actually like a couple weeks ago. I was lucky enough to stumble into a store, and they had a couple of them sitting there, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to grab those just as a backup. Just in case. And it's a good day for them because I needed them today. I didn't have any other products that I could rip today. So this gives me something to preview on the show. And we have some blue parallels that are in this product. And let's hope we get one. Or let's hope we get something decent. So if you haven't seen Diamond Kings for this year, it's the brush stroke look. They look kind of similar every year, but they're a brush stroke look. This is a Joey Bart rookie card. Mickey Cochran, Luis Robert. Here's the Elegance insert, Bo Bichette. Creamer. Dean Creamer. I do enjoy Diamond Kings. It's not a high-end product by any stretch of the imagination, so don't buy it thinking you're going to flip cards for a ton of money. It's really tough to flip cards for a ton of money in Diamond Kings unless you hit one of the really low, really good players. Like, there are some cut signatures. There is a Mickey Mantle, there's a Babe Ruth, but good frickin' luck. Aiken, Spencer Howard. Oh, what did we just get? There we go. Otani. Blue frame. There's the parallel, the exclusive parallel to the Blasters. For a second there, I almost thought because it was backwards that we hit an Otani auto. I would have had a mild heart attack if that had happened. Here's the Legacy Lithographs, Ozzie Smith. And then Nick Madrigal. Here's the Diamond Kings debut. Move my chair up a little bit. But make sure you guys get your spots. Let's get those breaks sold out before break time tomorrow, so we can just kick the live stream on, get right to it, crack through things, end the night pulling some fire. Here we go. Harvey Kuhn, artist proof. This one's not numbered. This is just a basic artist proof. Aficionado insert of Alex Bregman. And George Brett. Oops, wrong pile. Andy Young. Chris Bryant. Jahmai Jones. The Club insert. Harmon Killebrew. And Kirby Puckett. The Curbster. Being a man that grew up in Minnesota, I have very fond memories of watching Kirby Puckett as a wee one. Even though I wasn't a Twins fan, we'll call it. I enjoyed the Twins. I didn't mind the Twins, but my team's always been the Mariners, and so be it. Joe Cronin, Louis Patino rookie, Lou Gehrig, The Art of Hitting, Ty Cobb. And then a Diamond Kings debut, Dalton Varsho. But yes, I've been a Mariners fan since I was a ankle biter. Never really was a Twins fan. Bo Bichette, Manny Machado, Lewin Diaz, rookie, artist proof. Legacy Lithographs, Lou Gehrig. And Travis Blankenhorn, rookie. Last pack for the first blaster. And also keep in mind, there are downtown inserts in Diamond Kings this year. Mickey Moniak, rookie. Christy Mathewson. Jorge Mateo, rookie, artist proof. Xander Bogaerts, aficionado. And Jazz Chisholm, rookie. I have yet to see a downtown. Then again, I haven't really watched that many other breaks. But I have not pulled a downtown and in any Diamond Kings yet. Oh, guys, we got it. As I say that, right there. Clark Schmidt, Ted Williams, and our downtown is Manny Machado for San Diego. Manny Machado. Like, this is only the second downtown I have ever pulled. Ever. The only other that I pulled was at a Prism draft this year, basketball. I pulled the Theo Maledon. That's pretty slick. I like that. I might keep that just because it's my first downtown. That's pretty awesome. I like that. Legacy Lithographs, Eddie Matthews. Joe Adell, base rookie. Yes, downtowns are fantastic. They have a great look to them. DJ LeMahieu, Ryan Sandberg. And we get our our blue border, Dalton Varsho, rookie. Freddie Freeman, aficionado, and Tristan McKenzie, base rookie. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about hitting that Machado downtown. I ain't gonna lie. Sixto Sanchez, rookie. Honus Wagner, base. Estevan Florial, artist proof rookie. This whole pack was upside down. Acuna, Gallery of Stars, and Tanner Hoke, base rookie. Sherton, Apostle, rookie. Joe Morgan, Vladdy Jr., Shane Bieber, artist palette. I think that's the first one we've pulled out of this. Debut Diamond Kings, Tristan McKenzie. Luis Gonzalez. They're all this way. Okay. Luis Gonzalez, rookie. Tatis Jimenez, rookie. The Club, Babe Ruth. Dalton Varsho, rookie. Satchel Paige. Will Crow, rookie. Diamond Kings debut, Drew Rasmussen, artist proof. Elegance, Mookie. Bob Gibson. In our last pack, after hitting a downtown of Manny Machado in this blaster. Shane, I Don't Want to Be, Justin Bieber. Monty Harrison, rookie. Walter Johnson, artist proof. Walter Johnson, legacy lithographs. And our last, Ryan Mountcastle, Diamond Kings debut. That was a preview of two blasters of Diamond Kings baseball for 2021, highlighted by a very fantastic Manny Machado downtown. My first baseball downtown. My first professional downtown, because the other one was collegiate. Fantastic. That looks so cool. I feel like one of the cool kids now that I've pulled a downtown, because I've seen so many people pull all these optic downtowns out of football, out of all this retail stuff, and I couldn't pull a frickin' downtown to save my life out of optic. Then again, out of optic, I couldn't pull a base Justin Herbert rated rookie to save my life either. I, no joke, have not pulled a single Justin Herbert rated rookie out of optic. Not one. And I've opened up a lot. Well, a lot's a relative term. I've opened up a fair amount. Okay, so what I'm going to give away tonight. Dave, it looks like you're the only one still on. Dave, you win an Ohtani. Oh. Is anybody else even on still? I know a lot of people had a lot of stuff going on today. Like, social media just seemed dead today. So it doesn't surprise me that... Oh, Shane's still on. Okay, perfect. See, a CD Lamb downtown. That's solid. That's solid. Shane, you're still on. So I'm okay. Then I'm gonna make. I'm going to grab something else, and we'll do the random still. You know what? There was a rookie. What was the rookie? Dalton Varsho. I'm going to do the Dalton Varsho, so I'm going to give away the two exclusives out of the blaster. Whew. Yeah, CD Lamb downtown, that is impressive. I'm still waiting to get my CD Lamb black color blast back from Panini because it was damaged. Or I should say it was a factory damage. Okay, so these are going to be the two cards we give away. Ohtani and Varsho. Let me see if I still have... Okay, so we're going to start with... Yeah, we're going to have echo. Hang on. I don't know what is going on. If that's what you guys want to do. I'm good with it. Oh, Taylor's on. Taylor just threw a wrench in the works. I'm just kidding, Taylor. No, we'll do the random. I'm having a really bad lag issue. I don't know why it's doing this. Hopefully that's working. Dice roller. Roll dice. 6. It's up to you guys. It's up to you guys. I run the random. Oh, I know why that was all screwed up. Hang on, you guys are going to lose my hearing for a second. Just give me a second. Alright, should be back on. I realized I just changed settings. If I did that, it's going to screw it up for later on. Don't do the random. David says now we gotta run. Now we gotta gamble. You guys. This is what I love about you guys. No, give it to the other guy. Give it to the other guy. Give it to the other guy. I tell you what we'll do. Taylor, I've got something for you anyways. So, Shane got the Otani. David got the Varsho. Taylor's got something else anyways. Does that work for everybody? All right, perfect. That works. So we'll just go with that. We'll go with that. Makes it easy. All right. We don't have to run a random then. My screens are having a serious... I got to update my software again, apparently, because I'm having a serious delay and changeover. Okay, so... yeah. So make sure you guys get your spots in the breaks for tomorrow night. We're going to hopefully have a full sellout before we even go live. 5 breaks for tomorrow. And if you guys missed it earlier, I'm going to make sure that I cover this again. If you guys missed it earlier, this month I had announced the rewards, customer loyalty rewards break of being Impeccable Basketball. Unfortunately, my allocation was stripped for that product, and I don't know why. I was all of a sudden not showing any on allocation as of yesterday, and my source said that I never truly had it allocated to me, even though it went from what my original pre-order number was down to 1, and then it was gone. So I don't have Impeccable Basketball coming this year or this month, and I don't want to buy it at $2,000 a box to run a rewards break. So unless something happens where I can find some, it's all good, David. Don't worry. Unless I can find a way to get another box at a good price to run the rewards break, not at $2,000, not at $1,800. It would have to be, in that $1,500 range or less, so that I can run it affordably, and so it's actually a rewards break. I'm going to change it up. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to do some shopping. I'm going to try to pull some strings and get some deals cut so that I can get a good product for this month's loyalty rewards break. If nothing else, and I can't get a good high-end product, I will just do a couple cheaper boxes. Maybe I'll pick up some H2 boxes of Chronicles or something like that, and I'll do a free rewards break of some sort where nobody has to buy a spot. You just get it by qualifying. So either way, I'm going to figure something out for the rewards break, so stay tuned. I will hopefully have something to announce by next week's show, and I'll probably be talking about it tomorrow night on the live stream for the breaks as well. So we're going to end the show a little bit early tonight because we wrapped up a little bit early tonight. Everything kind of moved right along. Hopefully next week I will have either Mark or Dean or both of them on so we can do our draft recap. They've both had a lot of crap going on lately. So hopefully we can get them back on so we can do our draft analysis recap and before it gets too far displaced. And but yeah, next week's show should be fun. I'm still working on a couple other guys for some interviews, still working on some improvements. Still waiting on some return information on some music for cutouts and stuff. If you have any friends that are musicians that aren't signed with a label, send them my way. Other than that, yeah, we're going to continue expanding. I want to thank you guys for being on tonight, and hopefully we can continue to build on this and have a good time. And if you guys are on tomorrow night, I'll see you tomorrow night. Otherwise, I'll see you here next week. Enjoy your week, everybody, and stay safe out there.